Welcome in, everybody. My name is Josh. This is Gaming Joy Channel, and I've been talking to myself for the past 10 minutes, and luckily I realized it right away. Welcome in. Hey, Rusty, how's it going? Thanks for being here. I am in the middle of delivering some dry corn. So what we need for our whiskey production, which is our main goal today, to get our whiskey production going, we need to deliver dry corn, which we did with our corn dryer. Now, I actually updated this dryer, to be just a propane dryer, and it takes in propane and it dries stuff. So it dries corn. Now it also dries alfalfa, clover, and grass, which I think is a pretty good idea. I like the idea that you can dry multiple things, and like I like having a dedicated hay dryer, and using propane to dry the hay. I like that idea. Anyways, we're gonna deliver some dry corn over to the whiskey plant, and we're gonna make some whiskey. And while we're doing that, there really isn't much field work to be done. As you can see, our fields to our left and right, these are the fields we planted yesterday. They're already growing, which is good to see. Even though they're going to get knocked back due to winter, they're growing, and we'll have some rye to harvest next year. Now, whether we come back to this map or not is still unknown. I will keep the game save around, and if you guys feel like you want to see it and we want to continue it on, I don't know what just happened there. That was super weird. Let me know. Let me know. Hey, let's go back to Montana and do something. Why is this thing keeping like jerk to the right? That's super strange. Anyways, there's our Jack Daniels plant right there, and then the Youngling, I don't know how to pronounce it, beer plant that's right next door. I like how that wait, what? Hold on. Did I just notice this now? Is that an F-150 Lightning ad? What the heck? Which is funny because I just bought an electric truck. But anyways, we're going to go over to our Jack Daniels plant, and I don't see any beer spawning yet, which is potentially problematic. Let's go in here. How much weight do we actually have? 15245. 15245. And we're gonna dump the dry corn. I like how it auto opens. That's pretty cool. And here's our Jack Daniels whiskey. We have all of the ingredients we need. So we're going to, the city water has filled up with our water. Great job. Activate. So we've turned on our whiskey production, which was our biggest goal. And here we are creating beer. It's not creating very much. It seems to be creating. So cycles per month is 960. So 960 times 6 liters of beer is not enough. That's just definitely not enough. We're going to have to like speed these plants up, because I think the Jack Daniels is going to be about the same speed. Oh, so this one, oh, here. Cycles per month, 960. It's about the same. Like, it's just going to produce the beer like ridiculously slow. So we won't be able to actually sell any of this beer for a couple months, which doesn't make today's episode very fun. I mean, I mean, you'd think that a beer plant, a plant that makes beer, just logically thinking about it, right? A plant that produces beer should be able to output more than 1 pallet a month, right? It's going to output a lot of pallets a month. And it's already outputted a few pallets, but that's kind of slow. Like it's... I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it needs like a 10x boost to just so that we actually have some movement. Could do that, I guess. Let's do that real quick. Beer plant. We want the beer plant and we want the whiskey plant. Right? Beer plant and whiskey plant. We're just gonna 10x this. Whoops, we don't need that. Actually, that one's fine. We just need to make the actual recipes that we're doing just use more. Whoops. That's fine. All of that is fine. Save. Well, now that we've done that, there really isn't anything else to do. Let's check our worker. Our worker. We have a worker going on over here, so we can get an overview of what we've done in this series. Because this series has been going on for a little while, right? And we started off with just the farm, and we've kind of expanded and grown over time. And we've changed some fields and stuff like that. But I mean, look at all of this land, right? Seriously, this is the size of a normal size map. Like this square right here is a standard size map. And because it's a 4x, it's kind of, the scale is wrong. But look, I have just over a quarter of the map. Now, I don't own this forest up here or these 2 plots of land, and I don't own these 2 plots of land, but pretty much I own all of it. The goal here is actually to plant corn along here, right? And then we have all this barley. This will all be corn, and we'll have more than enough to keep our whiskey plant and beer plants going long term. So we can drive back to the farm. I agree, Mr. Tim. So I started playing on, so I got really excited about Submerged Sanctuary, right? And Mr. Tim's a little bit bored with Submerged Sanctuary. And so here's why. I think I know why. So hear me out. Most map makers that are relying on base game stuff without adding anything extra, such as new crops or new productions or new things that are interactive, fall under the same kind of the same pain point. There's already weeds in that field. Good Lord. That a lot of maps fall under, in that you are doing the same thing you've always been doing. And so for me, a lot of the maps that really appeal to me, like this map, they appeal to me because there's more things to do than normal. Like this one has corn drying, and it has dryers, and it has fermenting silos, and it has custom buildings, and it has custom crops. And I even added more crops that were already here. And this, you're adding more and more and more. You're giving the player more to do, more stuff to do, because it's a 4x map. It's the drive is longer going between places. You're giving them more to do. But if you're just building a standard 2x map and you're just using base game buildings and base game productions and yada yada yada, you're not giving the player anything extra to do. You're just giving them the same. And so while at that point, the only thing that is unique or desirable, or I'm not sure how to say it, the only thing that makes you want to play any of those type of maps is the map itself, right? So, which means that what's going to make you play a map like that is going to be beauty, or maybe an area of the world that you've always wanted to live, or something that gives you some nostalgia, or something that a map that just is stunning, like the map we looked at last week, Elk River. Now, Elk River is a good example, right? Elk River is essentially a base game map. No offense to Wilderness Studio, but it doesn't have anything extra. There's no extra productions. It wouldn't be that enticing for just the map itself, because it looks beautiful, don't get me wrong. But if he hadn't added the gold mining and those other things, then it wouldn't be as enticing. And so from my perspective and my preference style, and I think that Mr. Rusty agrees here, and Mr. Tim probably also agrees, if I'm gonna play a farming map that doesn't have anything extra, it has to be because it's beautiful or because it's a wilderness style map and I can do what I want with it. I almost don't want to play somebody else's farm, or like I'm not content just playing maps the way the map maker made them, because you're basing all of your decisions and how you play the game on someone else's property lines. Exactly. Property lines, someone else's fields, someone else's layout, someone else's decision on what crops go in what fields, when and where. Everything is based on that. So I usually tend to enjoy the wilderness style maps over pre-built maps for that reason, because I get to make it my own, right? And even when I play a map like this, which has a bunch of extra productions and whatnot, you can see from the way I've played it, like I've made it completely my own. Not a single one of these fields. I think that's not true. 29 is still the same, but every single other field on here has been modified in some way. Every single piece of property, everything has been modified in some way from what it is on the base game map. And that's because I can't leave well enough alone. But I also want it to feel like my own. And so with wilderness maps, I think you get that a little bit more. And I'm actually starting to lean away from the grid style wilderness maps, because again, the grid starts to define how you define fields. Because you make a field, you only have a square plot of land, you make a field or two inside that square. But it's a limitation that you have to live within, right? And while that is technically real and it's totally valid, I prefer not having limitations. And I've only seen one map go around that, right? Which was the Bearhaven Island or whatever it's called, the one by Squiggles, which was just an island, and you actually owned the entire island from day one. And I actually kind of like that, because it gives it that wilderness feel without you having to slowly progress through arbitrary grid lines, right? I always like to see maps that, like this map, this map's a pretty good example, where actually this map is not a good example, but maybe it is. Like this forest, which is, I edited a lot of these farmlands, so just be wary of that. I like to follow the curves and the outlines of the land. That's where the lines are drawn. So this is one that I edited, but if you look at the one that I didn't edit, which is probably here or here, if you look, it's just everything. It's just like that's not, how could you, $6 million, number one. I'm not going to buy a $6 million piece of land just to get the in-betweens. That seems kind of lame. But I always like to see when, like, if you're buying a forest, I want to buy the forest. I don't want to buy a square of the grass around the forest. I just want to buy the forest. And I want to buy things based on the land, based on how they line up, based on how it looks, which is why I lean towards wilderness maps. Anyways, back to the whole submerged sanctuary thing. Submerged sanctuary initially really appealed to me because of that extra mechanic of the submerged part. But I think where submerged sanctuary fell short is they really thought about the first day, or your first day or your first month or your first 2 months. They really thought about how you'd start to uncover the land and how you'd pay for the pumps and what kind of productions you're going to have access to, where you get access to nothing right away, and then you get access to the BGA so you can sell silage. And they gave you access to a stone crusher so you can sell the lime or the rocks and sell the lime, and you always have a selling point available to you. They really thought about it. And then they thought about, okay, well, as the player progresses to expose the land, lower the water, they will have access to the other productions. But then it's just kind of bleh, where you slowly get to access more productions over time, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, it is cool. But the mechanic of getting there, kind of boring to me. Because, like, they had those 2 piles of rocks on Submerged Sanctuary in the beginning that you have to uncover. I'm just waiting. By the way, I'm just waiting for the rain to end. It looks like it's almost over. There's my truck. I was looking for my truck. We're gonna go see if we can pick up the beer. Because at some point you start just uncovering more land and it just becomes an own the map situation. Like, if you're not planning on owning the map on that game, there's no reason to keep going and lowering the water level unless you really want to see it, right? And so, exactly, it's extra steps to uncover a standard FS25 map, which is, I get it. They were trying something new. They were trying something different, trying something unique, and I applaud them for doing that. I wholeheartedly applaud them for doing it. But it's kind of like writing a book where you spend all of your money, all of your work and your time and your effort setting the story and setting the backstory of all the characters and doing the plot setup and doing all of that stuff, and then you're like, okay, the end. Or you just have the entire, like, the, you know, chapters 2 through 9 are all blah 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 blah. Like, okay, what's the rest of the story? And so I think that's one thing it was missing, and I think if a map like that would be better, it could have more of a story. It's one of those things where it's like, oh cool, this map has a story, it has a concept, it has an idea to it, but it's like they did all the setup to start the story, but they never finished telling the story. And I think there could have been a lot they could have done to finish telling the story. That would be my feedback. So I did start playing it, and I got through to month 2, I think, and I uncovered the BGA, and I had planted some grass, and I had fixed the map so that I could actually mow the grass, and then I was like, blah. And so I was actually about to record, like I recorded episode 1 of a video series, and I never edited it. But I was like, oh, well, how am I going to make this better? There should be, if they were piling stone to stop the water, they should have piled that stone in multiple places, right? And every place they could. So your road would be blocked all over the map, right? To block the flow of water. It wasn't just like a last ditch effort at the end. They tried to block the water. They should have been trying to stop the water all along, logically. So I went around the map, literally creating more of those stone piles in my save game, like 10 or 11 of them, so that part of expanding the map is not just lowering the water, but you also got to dig out all that stone. You also got to do something with all that stone, which gives you a supply of money coming in, which gives you the availability to actually expand the land. And to me, that was taking a story that was partially written and sort of completing it. But with me, I never got a chance to finish it. But what do you do with the rock production if no more stone? Half the stone you have to paint over because it turns solid? That's weird. I've never seen a stone stuff turn solid. Let's load up our pallets. So we have 7,000 liters of beer. How much does 7,000 liters of beer cost? Like, what's the value of that? So beer, 7,000 liters of beer is 21 grand. That's not bad. 21 grand at Hobbs's General Store. Let's go ahead and let's do a quick save. Shave. And quit. Actually, let's do the other quit. We're going to quit this way and then start the game up. Now, that's just that one map. Now, I like the fact they added something else, and I think they would have been, it was a good idea, and it needs more. Just like Giants did, where they added like as much as Hutan Pantai is kind of driving me crazy because it's so slow, and building the temple, there's a story to building that temple, sort of, but eventually you just supply it with stuff and you just wait. Right now, we're waiting for the temple to finish. It has like 52 stages, and we're on stage 12. So we have to wait for another 40 stages for it to finish the temple. And at that point, it's not fun anymore, right? It's an idea that was, and just like Giants does this with a lot of stuff, they have an idea, they start going for the idea, but then they miss out on it, right? And in normal video games, when you have this kind of storyline element, like the other games we're playing on the weekends, you start by giving it very basic stuff. You start by giving it wood and concrete and yada yada, right? And then at some point in the line, you have to start giving it more advanced materials that require you to do other things, like more production steps, more production buildings, more blah blah blah. There's like, if you're gonna have a 52 stage building, give me more stuff to provide. Not just 5 things, but make me take some of those things that I've been producing and make other things with them to make the new things, right? Give me that ability to stay engaged in the process of completing a multi-stage task where I can't just complete all the stages on day one. And that's the thing with all of these construction projects that Giants gives us. You can complete all of the stages on day one. That's kind of lame, right? Because it just says, oh, you need 143,000 liters of wood to finish this construction project. And if you chop down half of a forest, process it into lumber, and deliver it, you can be done literally with all of the stages ahead of time and just sit there waiting for it to complete. you're losing that interaction. You're losing that interactivity. And I don't know if there's a solution for that yet. Right? I think that the solution for it is, and we've talked about this before, the solution for it is having construction projects that require you to do more. They require you to, okay, first stage, you're producing logs. The second stage, you're delivering beams. The third stage, you're delivering planks. The fourth stage, you're delivering plywood. The fifth stage, you're delivering roofing tiles. The sixth stage, you're delivering roofing tar. The seventh stage, you're delivering windows. The eighth stage, you're delivering furniture, prefab walls, electrical wire. Like, add more stuff to do, add more products. And even if it's just pallets of products, or if it's a new production you have to buy somewhere on the map to produce that stuff, make it more engaging. Because I think, honestly, a lot of players are not playing Farm Sim right now, including myself, because we want it to be more engaging. Right? All right, let's see if I fixed the productions. I think I did. And yes, there we go. We fixed the production. So it's going 10 times faster than it was before. So now we're producing 80 rye whiskey per cycle instead of 8. So we should be able to be making the rye whiskey a little bit faster. We can look at it now, see it's going up a little bit faster. I like that. That's a much better level. But thank you for coming. And thanks for everyone who's joining in and chatting. McGarrett, I saw you come in. Fafo Gamer. Bruce, welcome in. Thanks for being here. And this is our beer production. Our beer should be popping out pallets. Yay. This is our Youngling beer. Let's jump over the fence. And this is where our pallets of whiskey are going to show up. Now, I didn't actually make the pallets of rye whiskey look any different than the pallets of regular whiskey. If I had had time to do that, I might have done that, but I didn't. I can do it later, but ain't care. Rye whiskeys, they're going to take a little while. We don't have to stand here watching it. Is there anything else we need to do? Lime production is empty. Cows. Oh, I haven't looked at the animals in forever. Do they need food? Our animals sort of need food. We can give them some food, I guess. The sheep need food. The cows have 150,000 liters of milk. If I can figure out where the milk is and sell it, I guess we do that. And there's 0% productivity. They have TMR. Why are they 0% productivity? I don't understand that. Maybe because the milk's full? We'll leave that guy here. This guy's waiting to do something. This guy... I 100% agree with McGarrett's comment there. Why are you not starting? There you go. Do your job. I agree. I think a lot of map makers and the community push things out too fast. They don't take the time to properly test things. They just push it out as soon as it's close to being done and figure, oh, the community will test it for me or Giants will test it for me. But they don't think about the story. They don't think about the playing. And I think that's about. And again, I'm not talking from someone who has done it better. So I can't claim that I've done it better. I've never released a map. And I hope that someday when I do release a map, I will release a fully tested map that hopefully doesn't have any bugs. And I hope that if I include any kind of storyline elements, I'm going to think about those storyline elements in my map and make sure that it's completable, right? I hope. But we'll see someday if I do that. But I mean, we're also playing with the limitations of what Giants gives us. Is this guy just sitting there? Why are you not doing the thing? Is it because you're broken? Why are you stopped? Whatever. I'll do it. Fine. I don't have anything else to do. I think I just have hopes and dreams for what this game could be and the way that we could play it if we had the tools and ability to play it the way we want, right? But anyways, let's start talking about Elk River. So the plan is we're going to make our beer, we're going to make our whiskey and get through today. And then next time we're going to start on Elk River. So the one thing I wanted to do, and I haven't had a chance to, I'll do it both here and in, oops, wrong button. When we go to Elk River, right? Do we want to start mining? I'm going to, whoops. I'm going to go around the outside now. So I need this view, that view. Shows me where my lines are. So playing with Elk River is we have 3 different options for how we start playing Elk River. Is it 3? Let's write them down. So mining, forestry, there's your vote. And I'll get one more for... And there's our vote. Okay. So the idea here is we're going to play Elk River as one of our next playthroughs. And I want to know what you guys think how we should start. Now, Elk River, which we did in the tour last week, and if you didn't see it, Elk River has about 3 or 4 different things that are going on with that map that make it unique, that make it special. And we're, of course, going to eventually get to all of those things. But the question is, how do we start? Now, do we start with the mining, which would include jackhammering some rocks to make some stone, to then start the gold mining process? So do we start with that part of the gameplay, which was added to the map, or do we start with more forestry? So start off in a forestry area and start cutting down trees. And so do we start with a forestry plot of land? I didn't include the starting farm because while we may end up doing some farming at some point, I don't necessarily want to start with a starting farm. I want to play Elk River the way I played Elk Mountain in my own, which was I played 2 or 3 different saves in Elk Mountain. One of them I started off with forestry, one of them I started off with kind of open land and made my own farm, and one of them I started off with the mining stuff, right? And I had some good times playing on my own, which wasn't recorded or streamed or anything like that, on Elk Mountain with those things. And the other reason why I want to avoid the farming stuff initially is because Wilderness Studio is still working on getting his buildings, including the Elk Mountain River garage and some of the husbandry aspects. He's still working on getting those completed. And if before I do any farming on that map, I want those things to be completed. But yeah, that's the idea. So you guys can go ahead and vote, and I will put up the same poll in with today's results. I'll put the same poll up on, what's it called? On Discord. I couldn't remember the name, on Discord, and let you guys vote there as well. And we'll figure out what to do. I'm gonna try for the most part not to edit the map. But the only one thing that I'm planning on changing or editing is in the mining area. There's a building in the mining area that doesn't do anything right now. And to me, I think that's a missed opportunity. I was thinking of taking that building and putting a heap spawner in it so it spits out stones, right? Very, very minor change, but I'm going to make that building something you have to, a production that you have to purchase to get it to spit out stones. And it won't actually spit out stones until you purchase it. That way you can go through all of the rock that's there and do your gold mining. And then for like $1 million, you can buy the mine shaft, which will spit out infinite stones. But initially you're very limited on the amount of stones because it's all what's in that little pit. But I think having a mining shaft that you buy later on makes sense. So I'm probably going to do something along those lines. I don't know how yet, but I will. And it might be something as simple as making a heap spawner that I can just kind of sort of line up with the spout and make it look like it was supposed to be that way. But then I place that down at some point. Maybe I'm not even in the map. Maybe I'm just removing the visual from my heap spawner and having it just be of rocks and lining it up with that spout so that I can place it when I'm ready. Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Anyways, that's my idea. But other than that, I want to see what you guys vote. See what you guys think. The hard part with the mining is that you kind of have to make some money other than mining to be able to buy the production buildings that you need to be able to buy the whole gold smelting process. And you guys know me, I always like to start from nothing. So we'll have to figure that out. And I do want to avoid if possible, doing contracts, because I feel that every single gameplay I do, especially on streams, I'm just doing contracts nonstop, which is not necessarily fun. How's our production going? Our propane dryer is another 68,000 liters. I think with that dryer might actually finish today, which will be good. This is a dang big field. Can I tell how big this field is? No, I can't tell how big this field is. It's freaking huge. Look at that. It's a giant field. I think combined these three is going to be bigger than this one. McGarrett asked a good question. Is it possible to make a pallet conveyor belt? In other words, a conveyor belt that moves pallets? Is that what you're saying? Or drops pallets? No. No. And that's not due to because I'm just not saying I'm not going to do it. It's due to the game engine. The way all animations work in Farm Sim, every single one of them, is the thing that's moving when it's being animated is not actually a thing, right? It's just an animation. So, like when you have a baler that's dropping out a bale out of the back of the of the bale, the animation is taking a bale object and moving that bale object, and then there's a point in time when it drops, and when it drops, it creates a duplicate, an actual bale, and then hides the animation, and then drops the bale. So it's actually not a real bale until that last second when it drops it. Then it's a real bale with physics. But until it gets to the end, it's not. And so all of our conveyor belts that are in the game are not real things on the conveyor belt. You can't like scoop the rock that's on top of a conveyor belt. That doesn't work. And so if you had, so like the way the carrot one works is it's the same thing. It's creating things, it's pushing them out, but they don't really have physics. So for a pallet conveyor belt that could move any pallet to work, you would need all of that physics calculations working. And I mean, maybe I'm sure you could, if I was a developer for Giants, I could figure it out and make something, but not as a mod. You'd need way more game integration to be able to do something like that. And that's the reason why, like, our autos, the stuff we're getting on console, we get is like the auto load trailers on console, and they just show little boxes on a trailer, but those aren't real pallets. They're just boxes. They're not a pallet you can pick up and pull away with your hand. They're fake pallets until you tell it to drop. So then it acts like a trailer that's dumping out some lime, and then it creates pallets and it spawns pallets. It's just not how the game is set up. It's not set up to have, as we know from forestry, the game doesn't work very well dealing with multiple objects that have physics being close to each other. So to make something like that, you'd have to be able to script getting a pallet that has physics and then moving it from one point to another in a loop. I don't know. That hurts my brain to think about. It could be possible someday, but not today. Not with the current technology. We could probably turn down our speed right now. Our time scale, we were trying to get the rain to stop, and our time scale means that our day is now 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're going to slow it down. The small square cotton bale trailer, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure once it picks up the bale from the ground, it's no longer a real bale. It's an object in space. So it only works because that trailer knows every object that can be on it. Whereas a bale trailer, it can only be one of 6 different sizes of bales, or for cottons, it can only be one size bale, right? But for pallets, it would have to be one of N, which is infinite, because every mod could add new pallets, types of pallet. Like the auto load bale trailers, and even the ones that are built into the game, once it collects the bale, it no longer is a real bale. it doesn't have physics. It's removed from physics and it's treated as just an object. So as soon as that thing picks it up, it no longer has physics. And when it moves through the bale trailer as it picks up, it's just moving the object, but there's no physics attached to it. I don't know if that would be possible to do something like that with a dynamic animation that could work for any palette. That would probably be a good place to start. But I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it. It could be. You never know. Never know. How's the voting going? I'm not even watching. Something else. All right. So we got, looks like 2 people. One person says grassland. One person says something else. Whoever said something else, you got to tell me in the comments what you think. Is that maybe 2 people? 1 people? No, what's 1 person? So 1 person says something else. Tell me what your idea is for something else. I will entertain any idea. And then tell you why you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I will entertain any ideas. Any good ideas. I can't believe I can actually see the Jack Daniels factory from where we are. Like, we can see it off in the distance. It's that building, that green building off in the distance right there. Or gray building. You can see it. We can see all of our farm buildings from here. I love that's one thing I always look for in maps is sightlines. And honestly, with a flat map, you never get sightlines because it's flat. You never see more than what's right in front of you. You must start with the ape and upgrade to a nice black beauty later. Yeah. Or just, starting, it's less about like what the equipment is, honestly, and the questions that I'm asking are less about the equipment. Because I already kind of have the equipment picked out. But it's kind of how we approach the map. Kind of like a challenge. Like, are we doing it kind of like a challenge? Or are we doing it kind of like a let's play? Are we doing it like a survival kind of element? When we played this map, we kind of replicated what was already on the farm, but we kind of started with everything. We started with all the machines and equipment and all that kind of stuff that we needed. And we've added to those machines, obviously. But we didn't ever really struggle, I guess. Because we had all of the equipment all along. And yes, we had some kind of poopy tractors for a while, or we still have some of those poopy tractors that have less horsepower, but we never really struggled. And I don't know if you guys want to see me struggle. You just want to see me play with, do I do a Colossus challenge and just use the entire Colossus pack, but that's all I can use? Like, is that what you want? I don't know. Yeah. McGarrett is saying, like, you can make any placeable building into a storage silo, etc., just because it's moving numbers, the bale from one place to another. Yeah, and that's the thing is, that's why buildings and productions don't have stuff inside them. That's why almost all of Giant's buildings are closed, right? Because you're just supposed to imagine that something's happening and it's going to poop out what the result is. You don't actually see it happening, and that's what makes maps like Hofbergman so popular with certain players, because Farmer Andy took the time to actually make realistic animations and realistic animations and realistic, buildings, and where you go inside and you see the things happening. You see the cheese press, and you see the cheese wheels pop out, and you see, all of those things that are happening. Like, you see the process happening, and you can interact with that process. That's what makes those maps so popular. But for the everyday player who doesn't have, the craziness of what Farmer Andy does, there's less interactivity. And personally, I think that's sometimes what we're missing. We're missing some of that interactivity. And yes, I totally understand, Fafo, what you mean by a Colossus challenge. A Colossus challenge isn't really a challenge. I think if you're doing, like, the only time when Colossus, the word Colossus, and the word challenge should ever be in the same sentence would be like, okay, we're going to do a Colossus challenge, right? You can only use stuff from the Colossus pack. But the restriction of it is that you have to play on a 16x map. Pick a 16x map, but you have to play on a 16x map to do the Colossus challenge. Like, so Yukon or one of the RGC maps, or, PV Rivers or whatever, right? There's no point in doing a Colossus challenge on a normal sized map. That doesn't make sense. The challenge is not to use it. Yeah, that could be a challenge too. Good challenge in itself is to not use the Colossus stuff on a 16x map. Fair enough. I think we're actually almost done with this field. I think that I personally feel, I agree with Fafo Gamer. I personally feel that Giants is missing the mark completely by restricting people who happen to have high-end gaming systems or high-end consoles from having access to larger maps. We all know that if those maps are optimized properly, they can be playable on lower end systems, including consoles. 4X maps work on consoles. We know this for a fact. But Giants, it's almost like Giants doesn't want to hear the complaining when people say, oh, my game's running slow, I'm on an Xbox and I'm trying to play a 4X map. It's like they don't want to hear people complaining about it, and they don't want to have to explain why trying to run a 4X map on a PS4 is not a good idea. So instead of talking to people and communicating properly, they just block it. I don't want us to get in that situation, so we're just going to pretend it doesn't exist. That's how Giants is effectively interacting with large maps. Okay. I mean, that's their choice, right? I've tried playing 16x maps before, and in all honesty, I've tried getting into them, and I have gotten into them. I think 16x maps are perfect for multiplayer. Like 4x, 16x maps are perfect for multiplayer, where you want to actually be playing on multiplayer and play with other people, where you're all doing work on the same fields together. 16x maps shine for that, right? Because there's enough space and enough time, and the fields are big enough to kind of warrant having a friend help you. And I think that's where they shine. But, the easiest platform for multiplayer is going to be consoles. And we don't get 16x maps on console because Giant says it's not a good idea. And that's the only reason. They are saying it's not a good idea. It's not that it doesn't actually work. It does. It's just kind of lame that they're not letting everyone benefit from maps like this. This would be a cool map on a console. You could make this map playable on a console. Honestly, you'd have to change like maybe a half a dozen buildings on this map, and this map could go to consoles. As long as you change the logos on the buildings for like McDonald's and Tim Hortons and Jack Daniels and Yuengling beer and stuff like that, and you change those logos to some other kind of logo, this could be played on a console. It's pretty well optimized. I think it would be a fun, like maps like this, console players would never get to play because it's just too much. And that's the other reason why I wanted to switch to Elk River from this map, is because I'm playing on a highly edited version of this map and no one else has access to what I'm playing. No one else can play along. No one else can play the same thing as I'm doing. Because I've edited the crap out of this map for my own purposes, not because it was necessarily broken. I fixed a lot of things, but I've edited for a lot of things, just like we talked about earlier, where I was editing the productions here. Are we done with the corn yet? No. We're cruising through the whiskey though. And once this field is limed, we have no more field work to do until the spring. So even if we continued with the series, I'd have to fast forward a couple months until I can plant corn, until we can do really anything other than weeding. And all the grass is going to get knocked back at the end of the day, so there's no mowing to be done. Phil's saying on a PS5 and a new Xbox can run a 4X, and PS4 and old Xbox it barely pay the 4X. Problem is save size gets too big, and that's what breaks them. Well, okay. I mean, I agree, Phil. I don't doubt that that's what breaks them. And part of the reason of that, in all honesty, is the save game files are not optimized. XML is a very, very, very data heavy, file size heavy format to be saving save games in, right? And when you're modifying the ground and you're writing DAT files, those DAT files can get very big. And that's the problem, is those DAT files get big and becomes too big for the save game system. So yeah, I can see that. But at the same time, we know it's possible. We play other games that have map sizes that are, 10 times what we get in a farm sim. Right? There's other games that have crazy size maps. We just don't get them for farm sim. Because Giants said so. So from my perspective, the answer is not to restrict 4X maps. The answer is to optimize the save game files to overcome the save game limitation, if that is actually a limitation. That's the goal. That's what should be done. They should be fixing the problem, not avoiding the problem. Most game developers would do that, but I think that they say, as far as what they prioritize, they probably say, talking to themselves, they're like, okay, well, how much money do we make from having 4X maps on consoles? Is John Deere paying for a 4X map on console? No? Okay, so we're not going to do it. There's their decision logic. Start to finish. Kevin, how are you liking Ray County? I played a full year on Ray County just on my own, just to enjoy the map. And overall, it's a very pretty map. And overall, I would say Ray County is a very realistic map. It looks real nice. But there's a line that I think a lot of the realistic maps cross, where a map maker says, okay, in this place that I'm making the map about, they only ever do soybeans and corn. So I'm going to make it so you can only do soybeans and corn on the entire map. And from a gameplay perspective, yes, that's realism, but that's boring from a gameplay perspective, unless you are a person who wants to play that map in that way. And so that map is very much a, what did I call it in 22? What did I call it? What was that challenge I did on, the author intended challenge? That's what it is. So that's definitely a very much an author intended map, where the map is set up in one way, and that's the way they want to play it. Right? And that's the way they want you to play the map. So that's the way to play the map. There is no ifs, ands, or buts anywhere else. You either play it the way they want you to play it, or you don't play it. Right? So that's my feeling on that map. I think that it was intended to be played that one way, and the map maker has been very vocal and honest that that's how they want people to play the map, and that's fine. Cool. Good on you for sticking to your guns, in all honesty. Good job to that map maker for sticking to his guns and keeping it true to his vision of the way he wanted people to play the map. But I played it, and it was like, okay, I'm playing it, and oh, there's a couple contracts too. I got to do some contracts. I got to do some harvesting contracts. But then you're doing like, you're harvesting corn, and you're doing like harvesting contracts for like 2 months. And it's nothing but corn contracts, and that's it. And then you're like, okay, now I have to wait for the entire year to do, like, I have to wait for 5 months before I can do the next step if I want to play legit to this map. And to me, that's boring, because there's nothing to do in the in-between times. Whereas when you have varied crops that have varied harvest times and varied things that need to be done, then you're not just doing all of one thing in 1 month when you're supposed to do that one thing, and then you have nothing to do for 8 months until it's done growing. There's lots of stuff to do all the time. And I think that that's one thing that that map and those type of maps miss, is they sacrifice playability for realism in some way, because that's, realism is more important at some point to those map makers than playability, which is a decision, and you know, more power to the map makers who can willingly make that decision, and in some ways ostracize players because they made that decision. Stick to their guns, and I'm happy that people do that. That's cool. Do I have a trailer over here? I do. Can this pull that trailer? I don't think so. Actually, we'll just use... No, we'll use the big one. Let's see if this tractor can pull this trailer. And the other thing we should check is when's the best time to sell beer? And because we're making beer, whiskey, best time to sell it is in July. So all the way around to next year, which stinks. But the value right now is 25.50, and the max price is 4,000. So that sucks. Rye whiskey, it's closer. Value, it's closer, I think. 4 times 4 is 16. But that's July. And then where's the beer? Beer, October. Oh, beer sells in October. And we're only in November, so beer should still be a good time to sell. It's coming down. Let's look at the price charts. Where are the price charts? I don't even remember where they are. Does someone know? Here we go. Beer. So we're in November. It's coming down pretty steep, but it'll sell good in January. That's good to know. So we can sell the beer in January, so we won't sell it today, I guess. Whiskey. We're totally on the downside, so we won't. Whoa, what? Hold on. Hold, please. Steak? What? This map has steak? I played this map this whole time? Sausage? I mean, I remember seeing the pizza. Mutton? A whole bunch of hemp stuff. Hemp clothes, hemp fabric. Ground beef, ham. Where? What the heck? Did I miss something? Cool. Country View Dairy. That's dairy. American Pizza Company. This one will take in chili peppers and yeah. The Canning Factory. No. So I must have some kind of mod installed that allows me to have a butcher shop that I don't remember. I'm very curious now. I'm very curious. Did I install something that gives me a butcher shop? Piano. Factories. Did I install a butcher shop or something? Didn't you get the memo? What memo? I agree with Rusty. I don't see FS getting announced or released until the PS6. Because, yeah. Fast cow. Concrete cow. The hell does that mean? I guess the mini biogas plant got updated. Here it is. Sawmill. Hemp. Oh, I did install the hemp production system. Okay, here it is. So I did install the hemp production system. I just haven't placed it down. Okay. Maybe we can do the hemp stuff in the next map. Because that would have been fun. But where's the... Lots of different dairies. Is there a butcher shop? Butcher shop. Here's the butcher shop. And this is a butcher shop mod. Which is just a building. But it does take in... Okay. So it was a mod. I thought it was part of the map. If it was part of the map, I'd be like totally down for it. But if it's not part of the map, maybe we can do that on Elk River. I don't mind adding Um, what am I doing here? Oh yeah, we have to feed the sheep. We need to give them hay. Ooh, the vote is still almost at mining. If you haven't voted, please vote. The vote for Elk River is still heavily at mining. There's been a few people who want to see grassland or something else. But everyone seems to be wanting to see Elk River mining. So maybe that's how we play the map. Which is totally cool with me. That's totally fine. I'll let you guys decide. I have all of the equipment and everything needed to do what I want to do. Okay, we have fed the sheep. Got to keep our animals fed even if we don't come back to this game save for a while. Want to be a good farmer. I'm surprised this tractor is strong enough to pull this thing. Let's look real quick. What do my cows need? Cows need about 300,000 liters, so a lot. And I only have 359. Okay, so we'll almost fill up with the TMR for our cows. So we feed our cows. Gaming Joy and Dinobot go mining. Use a mech loader by Kenny, LOL. The mech loader. Uh-oh. Do I even want to know? The mechanical loader by Kenny? I do like the idea of using a actual loader. But the biggest problem with all of the loaders in the game is you end up getting a loader that can't handle the weight of the stones. That should be enough. And so you end up like, I got a really awesome looking JCB loader, and you know, even with the base game buckets, it can't even lift up. It can't even lift up because the buckets are too heavy. Like, it's just like, okay, well, that's dumb and lame and not what I wanted. All right, cows. Sorry, you got to get out of my way. If you want me to feed you, you got to get out of the way. I think the cows only have collision on the tractor, not the trailer. Use the lightweight bucket by Mac Trucker. I'll try it out. And there we go. They gave them lots of food. Where's the milk? I don't even know where the milk is in this barn. Oh, there it is. Is that it right there? I guess it is. Where's the pigs? How much do the pigs need? Pigs need 100,000 liters of food. Let's buy some food for the pigs. Oh, I can't fit it in this trailer. I will try to get... I think I have the lightweight bucket by Mac Trucker. I think I already have the right bucket in that save. I don't even have a save yet, but I have a folder. And we just buy our pig food because pig food is like not worth it to make it. We'll just buy it from our husbandry fill station. There's the trigger. I found it. The unique ITS. ITS. Are you talking about the Syntrack? The Syntrack thing? Is that what you're talking about? Look at me! I actually figured it out. What Rusty was saying. The Syntrack. Yeah, that thing was. I played a whole challenge on that with that mod. I had a lot of fun on a what map was it? I had a lot of fun using only that tractor on a I think it was one of Rusty's challenges on a Norway map, a Norwegian map or Finnish map or something. That was actually a pretty fun challenge. That map was that tractor was funky though. It was all kinds of wacky. It worked and some worked. Yeah, that map was really awesome. I forget what it was, but it was very, very hilly. Like the whole map was a hill down to a port. And it was by I forget who it was. Somebody I followed for a little bit after he released the map. But it was a first time map maker. That was a good map and a good challenge. I had a lot of fun with that one. Hey Andrew, I remember you from Rusty's streams. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming along. Greatly appreciate the support. Come on, where's the damn trigger? I found it for a second. There it is. It's pigs that were almost fed up. And now that we just spent $100,000 on pig food, we should go sell the milk. I totally just dinged that building pretty bad. I wasn't trying to be mean. It just happened. All right. That's enough for the pigs. Good job, pigs. Let's run over, get the big rig, and sell the milk. We'll deliver the rest of the dry corn at the end of the stream. That's what we'll do. Allus 9. I knew there was a number in the name. I knew there's a number. That was actually a really good map. It had a couple of really cool features. I really liked how it felt very... it felt very Norwegian just because of the steep hills. It also had movable and breakable rocks. And it had, they did a really good job using the buildings of Norway the way the buildings of Norway were meant to be used. Let's put it that way. That map was done nicely. But again, you know, and especially in FS25, we get a lot. If we get more of those kind of maps, I think that was one of those kind of maps that where the beauty of it kind of outweighed the lack of stuff to do. But I think that in many cases, most players in FS25 are starting to, myself included, starting to not really demand more, but expect more. Right? We're expecting to have more to do in our maps. Where am I selling this milk? Milk. County View Dairy. Tag place. Hey, Fuji. Fuji Thor, how are you? Yes, I am. We're going to start Elk River next week. And we're just talking about tonight. How do we start the map? So, since you're new in the channel, Andrew, Fuji, vote! You're gonna have a hard time winning over the mining. The way people want me to start a mining playthrough, but we will try hard. Hey, does anyone know, actually a question. I was just thinking about Elk Mountain, and I remember when Farm Sim Guy did a playthrough roleplay thing on Elk Mountain. One of the things that he added to the map was the oil pumps and crude oil and all of that kind of stuff. Has anyone released a mod pack that for oil derricks yet? Placeable oil derricks that you have to provide, I don't know, something to production, yada yada. I think I'm stuck. All right, we're gonna have to go forward. Can't reverse it. Totally stuck in the mud. Okay, fine. Where's the vehicle I'm looking for? Here it is. We got stuck in the mud. Yeah, I did the... I'll have to try it. I'll have to check it out. Maybe we do the crude oil there too. I think Elk River is beautiful, and I think that it's such a basic map from a production and, you know, what is included standpoint, that I think that it has merit for trying it out and then maybe seeing what we can add to it over time to turn it into something unique. Right? I think that would be my thoughts on that map. Can I push this thing out of here? Apparently the quad trek is cow proof. Oh well. I just have to get out of the mud. Dang it. Wait, where are we going? We're going like to the other side of the map. Good lord. I sell the milk at the dairy. I don't think I've ever been to the dairy, so let's go check it out. Really? I'm in a massive big rig and I get stopped by a mailbox. I don't have time for you. Rusty is rolling a field on Riverbend. You're still playing on Riverbend, Rusty? For your, Can You Survive? How much are you regretting that challenge at this point? That's what I want to know. Yeah, I haven't been back. I probably should. This guy passed me and now he's going slower than me. What a jerk. That's how drivers are in California. They like speed past you, then cut in front of you, and then slow down. Drives me nuts every time. You better not turn left. Yeah. Oh! Almost made it. Bet he's gonna pass me again. I'm gonna be a dick and cut him off. He's not trying to pass me anymore. Cut him off twice. Oh, no, there he goes. Yeah. I think I'm the same as Rusty. Like, to keep my interest in the game, I have to be playing multiple maps and multiple kind of things going on at once. Or else I'll go crazy. And I think even for the Can You Survive challenge, we're not going to stay on Hutan Pantai forever. At some point, we're going to move on to Kinleg. So we're not going to always be on Hutan Pantai. I need to take these corners a little slower. And for me lately, I've been like kind of keeping. I used to do the same thing, Fuji. I used to keep 4 to 5 gameplays going, and I would be streaming or recording 1 or 2 of them. And I'd have 1 or 2 like personal playthroughs. And even for the first year of Farm Sim, I was doing that a lot. And then I realized that I was playing Farm Sim. I wasn't playing anything else. And there were so many other cool games that were getting released that I wanted to experience and see what made them special, that I actively pulled away from Farm Sim to try out new things and try out new games. And so instead of playing 4 to 5 maps, I'm playing 4 to 5 games. And like right now I'm playing Star Rupture. I'm playing that new game Atheist. I have like, I've been sort of touching back into Roadcraft a little bit here and there. Roadcraft, I'm actually looking forward to playing the next update. And we might get back into Roadcraft a little bit after the next update because they finally added some steering wheel support for my steering wheel. So I know I haven't been playing with my steering wheel. You guys haven't seen me use my steering wheel in a while, but Roadcraft just seems like the perfect avenue for the steering wheel. And they finally added support for my steering wheel, which I'm looking forward to. So, and there's another DLC coming out with some new maps. So maybe we'll get back into Roadcraft. And then Docked came out. Docked was released like a couple weeks ago. And we played the demo for that, and that looked pretty fun. And so maybe we'll play it a little bit. We probably won't play the whole game, but we'll maybe play it a little bit, and see what you guys think. We did play the demo, and the demo was fun, but it was only like an hour long. So and then we had some other games. We played No Man's Sky here and there. We've been playing we haven't played Satisfactory in a while. Like, you know, there's lots of games that are out there that I have interest in and would like to see more of. And if I'm only playing Farm Sim, then I'm not seeing those other games. And so when I named my channel, I didn't name it Farming Josh or Farming Joy. I named it Gaming Joy because I know that my love for gaming is much more than just Farm Sim. Sweet. We just made $202,000 from 150. Whoops. From 150,000 liters of milk, which is a lot. Crimson Desert. Oh, I haven't heard about that. But yeah, I mean, I think that, and I think that if you watch any gaming channel, and I used to watch a lot of YouTube. I don't watch as much YouTube anymore, but I think a lot of channels that I have followed over time, if they get into the algorithm playing only one game, then it's very hard to break out into other games. But I think that over time, as long as you can show the watch hours and the interactivity and the interaction, and thank you everyone for chatting today. I love all the interaction. It really means the world to me. And it also helps the algorithm. But as long as you can show that interactivity and the active channel, when playing other games than what brought you into the algorithm, then I think that you can be successful branching out. But there's always, and everyone I've watched have this problem where as soon as they branch out, a lot of their new content doesn't do well because YouTube isn't suggesting it. And so you have to be really active, either with an active community or with actively promoting your content in other ways to get the viewership and the watch hours and the interactions in the different types of content. It's totally possible. I've seen a lot of channels do it. And I've seen a lot of our friends who are doing farm sim stuff that they have started branching out and playing more than just farm sim and branching out in other games and, just enjoying it for the community aspects of it and community aspects of the playthrough and, just trying to have as much fun as possible. I'm going to leave this trailer right here for now because I think I'm going to sell some digestate soon or sell some other liquid products. Come over here. We can do some slurry, sell some slurry. 749. $1.6 million liters of digestate. That's like $1.6 million. So we can go ahead and sell that, I guess. Not all of it. But yeah, so that's the vote. We're gonna go back into we're gonna continue, and I think that the big thing with this trying out new games is being consistent. So that's why on the weekends I haven't been playing Farm Sim at all. On the weekends I'm playing new games. I'm playing other games, and I'm trying to switch it up somewhat frequently. Where we're trying new stuff, we're trying new releases, we're trying demos, we're trying games that interest me, and I hope that you guys are able to join along. This weekend, I think we're going to be playing Star Rupture and Atheist. We're at a turning point with Star Rupture where we're getting into a point of the game where it gets very grindy and that it gets very production heavy, where you're just sitting around waiting for your productions to finish making the stuff that it needs to make to move to the next stage. And I think we might move on to a different game on the live streams, because that is not as fun as like exploring or killing enemies or uncovering the map, or, you know, those aspects are not as much fun to watch in a live stream. And I only know that that's a turning point because I'm playing a second save game of that game. I have a second save that I'm playing on my own for funsies, where I'm kind of building things differently and doing things differently just to switch it up and experience different things. For some reason, this trailer stops selling if you stop moving. So you see me backing up and moving forward. If I just sit there, it stops selling. I don't know why. I haven't been able to figure it out. All right, there's another $267,000. Let's get the dry corn. I'm the worst trucker ever. I just disconnect while driving 30 miles an hour. Just drop the trailer. Worst trucker ever. And how much more dry corn do we have to do? I think we're getting close. We got to be getting close to being done with this. Where is it? Propane dryer. Corn drying. Corn, we still have 106,000 liters of corn left to dry. But the plant is going through it. Like the corn production, the beer plant is going through the barley pretty slow. And the whiskey is going through pretty slow. So it's going to take me... I'm looking at these numbers, and I'm going to assume it's going to take about 6 months of gameplay before we're actually done producing all of the whiskey that we're making. And at that point, 6 months of gameplay, November to April. So I think around the time when we start planting corn next year, we'll be getting close to having actually produced all the whiskey. And so maybe I'll play this on my own, and maybe a month or two from now, we can come back and do some springtime planting of the corn, and then selling off all the whiskey and seeing what we make for money. I think that's a fair idea and a good plan. But this will give us another 100,000 liters of dry corn in our production facility. And will get us to the next stage. I'm really happy with how these fields turned out. I'm really happy with all of the fun stuff we did. I haven't even looked at my fermenters or my fermenting silo or the BGA in a while. Why did you go to the side of the road like that? That's weird. We'll drop off this last load and then we'll call for today. Again, this weekend we're going to be going back to Atheist. From what I've been seeing from the developer log, we're really, really early at the beginning of... We're really early at the beginning of that game, so there's going to be a lot more content to do on that game. And then maybe we'll, instead of playing 2 survival games at the same time, maybe I'll pull out Docked or Roadcraft, and we'll do those in the other weekend day. But other than that, have a good night. Have a good rest, Rusty. Thank you for joining in the whole stream. It's rare that I get Rusty hanging out the whole stream, so thank you very much. And thank you for everyone else who's been here. It's been a really fun stream and really fun time. I'm going to close it there. Just do, I guess, some little bit more driving to do. and say thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming along. I hope to catch you guys this weekend when we do some more stuff, and then I will do my best in my free time over the next week and set up for what looks to be mining. We are going to be doing mining, and we'll probably do a little bit of those other things also, but we're going to be starting off in on Elk River next week with some mining, and hopefully setting up those productions and setting up the whole gold process. And I do know that it's going to take a little while to process the gold and the gold bars and all kind of stuff. And in the meantime, we can do other things, because I believe we have some, maybe we'll make enough money to buy another piece of land and either go to grassland or something else. So grassland was number 2. So grassland is going to be our second endeavor that we do once we've done the other things. But that's going to be it for me tonight. Special thank you to all our AI members. You guys make this channel what it is, and thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate all of your support. If you are not an AI member and you'd like to join, click the membership button down below. It's only a couple bucks, and it helps keep the lights on. Thank you for everyone for all of your amazing impact and just being awesome. Thank you. But that's going to be it for me tonight. As always, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.